What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. And if it's your first time here, well then, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself into the chat so that you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. And as tradition goes around here, the first thing that we always do is to go ahead and check to see who are the first members of the crew who are hanging out in the chat. Okay, I think the music's just a little too low. There we go. And I just saw somebody hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to do that. It's highly appreciated. It's absolutely free. It helps me out and lets other people know that we're doing something viable here. And if you weren't here last week, we just celebrated 4 years. So this is episode 209, and that's 209 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream. So let's go ahead and see who are the first members in chat. We have Mr. Paul Duncan waving in. We also have Scott Rogers saying hello to the crew. Parker Jennings saying hello, everyone. Hello, hello. We also have Kevin Cox saying hello to all. Okay, but it looks like he's not going to be able to hang out. He says just saying hi and bye. I'll be on the replay squad seeing Moana 2 in 10 minutes. Oh, that's cool, man. Have fun. Well, I'll catch you next week. We also have Ernesto here saying hello or hola to everyone, saying happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you. And if you haven't done so already, you know I'm always rocking a Monster in the water. But if you haven't done so, let me know if you're drinking anything in the chat. I ask every once in a while, but I'm trying to make it more of a habit to see what you got in your cup. Paul says, wasn't it just Saturday? Like everything is just right. Like it feels like it was yesterday that we were just hanging out for 208, but that's how it goes. We also have Randy in the house saying what's up, saying hello to everyone. Hopefully Wanda is fine and thoughts and prayers are still headed your way, but hopefully that your dog is doing okay. So that's my feelings and sentiments to you. But yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about this. Oh, we got Yolanda sneaking in last second saying hi to everyone just the same way. But we are hanging out, and today we're going to get into a little bit nerding out on Pancake lenses or small form factor lenses, which is something that I've been as of late, right? Really taking akin to. This is mostly for photography compared to video. Now you can use them for video. Manual focus works for video all the time, and the funny thing is that we get these cameras that have amazing autofocus, which is great, but a lot of times I'm seeing more and more benefits of manual focus lenses. For example, I have a pretty nice setup here, but I do lock off my cameras to a manual setting so that if I were to go off camera, right, for a quick second, my background stays blurry because it's not hunting or looking for something to focus in the shot. Now, all of these cameras really do have amazing autofocus, but if I were to leave the shot, it will automatically go to the background, so on and so forth. So to avoid little things like that, I have locked off my main shot here as manual, and then my secondary shot, which is not that one, this one. There we go. This shot right here, and this one would be you understand, also manual focus. So it's locked in, meaning I can turn off my cameras and then turn them back on, and I know that if I stand in the correct spot, which is where I put my microphone, I know that everything is in focus the way I want to. But the main reason why I would even use autofocus is for content creators who want to show an item, right? So let's say this is the first lens that I'm going to talk about tonight, the Osterhori 18 millimeter. Right here it looks fine, but if I wanted to get you a more close-up image, that's where we would want to get autofocus. And as you can see, I'm automatically like blocking my face, right? Because I'm already used to that, like the habit of blocking my eyes so that the autofocus doesn't pick that up and then picks the lens that I want to use. So the way that I got around this is by going with an overhead cam. If it goes there. Oh, I deleted that scene, so I have to reset it. You know what? Let me do it now because I'm gonna mess up on this over and over again. So right now I'm opening my Stream Deck control, and let me go to my Ecamm Live, and I'm gonna select this button, and I'm gonna have it run the scene D. Boom. Okay. It was acting a little buggy before, and I had to just like kind of delete the scene and rebuild it. So now it should be working, and yes, we have my overhead. So this is how I get around it. Let me go back to Ecamm myself. There we go. So you see, I have my overhead camera, and this one is the one that I use least. So this is the one that I kind of have set up with the autofocus. As you can see, if I put something closer to the lens, bring it down. If I bring my hands up, right, it's going to do all of the purposes for me, like kind of demonstrating that. Oh, I got a super sticker from Randy. Oh, thank you so very much. Wow, that's a super chat and a half. Thanks so much, Randy. It says it's giving me a description of the sticker that came up, so that's awesome. Hey John, how are you doing? John just happens to stop in as well, saying hello. And yes, Mr. Duncan is also reminding us to put a Q colon in front of any questions we might have. So Ernesto does have a question. It says, do you use the Stream Deck to switch angles? Yes, I have scenes set up, so I could also show you right here, right, that you can see my Stream Deck. Let me get this out of the way, right? And you know what? Let me just turn this little thing off because I'm kind of over it. So I'm gonna turn the text in this scene off. If I can find it quick. Oh, I'm gonna get to that right now. There we go. Turn it off. It's even distracting me. Okay, so this is where I have my Stream Deck, and even though I have like the change the scenes, I don't know if we could. Let me see if I could. Darkening it up a bit, but it's just to get better contrast. So I have like all my main scenes. So if I wanted to go to my end, then I go and I hit my first shot. So just by clicking the buttons on here, I have them set up as scenes. As you can see, camera D, which is my overhead, is the one that's highlighted right now. So camera C would be my behind the scenes shot. Right, and from right here I'll hit camera B, which is my secondary shot, and then camera A being my main shot. So those are my 4 cameras, and then just easily through the Stream Deck I'm able to just click a button, and that's also how I do pretty much everything, just to give you the behind the scenes. So you know, Cities Ga is a graphic that gets dropped on and off. That scene is another one, right? Oh, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. And then even my out. So everything is at a push of a button on my Stream Deck, which allows me to do everything instantly. Now I have a little folder window over here, which gives me the secondary page, which gives me like secondary type of things or features, like my live demo mode. So now you're seeing everything, you know, on the live demo going out. You're seeing my entire desktop, so on and so forth. And just at a click of a button, turn that off just the same way. And over here is where I have the dreaded finish button, right? So I could end the stream accidentally by just one push of a button, but that's why I don't have that on like the main page, so to speak. Well, actually I do, but I guess I'm good enough to not do it. Maybe I should remove it from there, but I digress. So that's how I have everything set up on the Stream Deck to make things easier for me to get to all my angles. But now getting back to it, right, on the fact that this is what I use to actually, you know what, Let's brighten that up again. There we go. So we can see better. So this is how I could actually get around by using the autofocus and then using the manual focus. All of that to said was to actually present this same lens, right? Which is the Asti-Hori. It's an 18 millimeter, so it's wide. It's an f8, so this is a constant aperture. Now, this is something that I want to emphasize on this particular lens, which is not like all lenses, which is a feature, or it could be considered a feature or a negative, right? Depending on the way that you look at it, for these small form factor lenses, which is the fact that this aperture, right, the f8, is a fixed f8, meaning it doesn't go faster than f8, so you won't get into the f4s, into the f3s or 2.8s, nothing like that. But it also won't go slower than that, right? It won't go into f10, f12s, f16s, and f22s. It is a fixed f8 because it only has one aperture size and there's no ring to adjust it, because the main attribute of this lens in particular is that it's a tilt shift lens. So the tilt shift, to emphasize, to show, it allows you to shift the lens's axis and how that element actually hits the sensor. So that's exactly what I wanted to do. If you can see the element on the back end of the lens, right? Once you start moving it, you start seeing how it just starts shifting, and it really takes angles and makes the photographs that you take with this lens very unique, and it gives you a completely different perspective when it comes to the lines and the way that they're recorded on your sensors. So it's really good for architecture. The reason why it's good for architecture is because it's an f8, and once again, it's a fixed f8. And what that means is that an inherent property of tilt shift lenses that actually are faster than f8, allowing a lot of light in, like f2.8 or faster, tend to give you what is called like a miniaturized mode. So it takes a photograph and makes it look miniature. The best way, or the easiest example that I can give you right now, is if you saw the latest like keynote from Apple and their Apple Mini release that they did recently. They used the tilt shift lens over their campus to make everything look like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. The intro for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was basically where it looks like everything is scale modeled down, but it's actual like video, just the way that it's being captured through the tilt shift at a fast like f2.8 or faster. This, because it doesn't have that capability of capturing that much light, will never be able to get that miniature type of effect that you would get on traditional tilt shift lenses, but it does very well, once again, like I said, for architecture and like street photography. It's also at f18, so it is an APS-C lens. Well, actually, let me reverse that. I consider it an APS-C lens. It actually is a full frame lens, so directly on like this, I can use this as an 18 millimeter f8, but if I were to shift it at all, as you can see, it really starts vignetting really bad on the side that I shift to on a full frame sensor. But the APS-C sensor, being smaller, actually gets away with the vignetting even with the shifting. That's why I would consider this more an APS-C lens, and I use it a lot more with my NEX6 from Sony comparative to like my full frame cameras, which is something that I like to use for photography. So that's the first lens, which is a very unique tilt shift lens, and these I think are pretty well priced. I think this one is going for like $119, which is basically what I paid for, this when I bought it. I don't know if there's any like Cyber Monday, Black Friday deals at the moment, but this is an interesting lens that I like messing around with. Now, that is like the tallest of the lenses because they're going to continue to get smaller and smaller. All right. I see a question here from Sly. Oh, Mr. Raphael Ludwig is in the house. Happy Saturday. Yeah, long time no see. Yeah, long time. And you know what? I was going to mention this a little bit, towards the end, but for the housekeeping, when I mentioned Mr. Raphael Ludwig's course, which I'm going to do right now, if you're interested in let's reverse it. If you're interested in learning how to edit with Final Cut Pro, then this is the course to do it. So you can do it in a couple of weeks. And right now, if you use the code CyberDeal, I believe, and Mr. Raphael can correct me, but if you use the code CyberDeal, you get 50% off right now for Cyber Monday. So this is the time, if you haven't done so already, to take advantage of this. And for a little FYI, for those of you who are hearing it from me, a little insider baseball is that he is going to be updating the course soon. So the new updates that Final Cut Pro has available for will also be included or added onto the course. So buy it now, learn it now, and then learn the updates when he makes them available. So all right, now let's get back to it. Now, the next lens is a new lens that I actually bought for Black Friday deals. So this one runs me around like $60, or no, I think it was $70, but with the deal, I paid $51 for it, and it was in my shopping cart. So once I saw the deal hit the cyber, or the Black Friday deals, I just pulled the trigger on it. And this is the 7 Artisans 25mm f2.0. Now, the camera or the lens that I've been using mostly here for my main shot actually is not the one that I'm using today. I switched it up a bit, but it was the 20mm f2.8 from Sony, which is the next lens that I'm going to talk about. Just a little foreshadowing. And I use it the same way in manual mode. The one negative about it is that every once in a while, when I turn off the camera and turn it back on, it actually like resets the focus, meaning I would have to get back in there and kind of reset that manual focus. So that's when I'm telling you what I was feeling, that instead of having a digital lens set to manual focus, you could take advantage of an actual manual lens, which is why I pulled the trigger on this guy. It's a 25mm, so it's very similar to the 20, and I was already like cropping in a bit on the 20mm. So maybe the 25 is going to give me just the right look, but because of its short form factor, meaning I get to push my my teleprompter and my entire setup even closer to the wall. So it is a 25mm, but kind of taking a step back because it's smaller than most of my other lenses. It's a full metal build, got a nice metal lens cap, right? And it goes down to an f2. Now, the form factor is a little different, and I like it, especially for photography, right? Even though I bought it kind of for this setup here, for photography, it works really well because it's got a nice, how would I would say, it's got a nice friction to it. You understand? It's nothing like, when it comes to setting the focus manually, it's got a nice friction where it's not too tight and not too soft. So it's not gonna, you're not gonna move it accidentally, but when you do move it and you set it, it's gonna stay there. But the cool part about it is that most lenses, the aperture ring is set behind the focus ring. So this one, they kind of flipped it and have the aperture ring in the front, which is something that I use less, but it's kind of hard to have a form factor where you would actually be able to fit a aperture ring behind it and make it comfortable for the user. So it gives you a good, nice purchase on the focus ring, and then when you want to change the aperture, it is just there on the top, as you can see. So it's a nice setup. Now, there's another one that, because this one I'm liking it so much, is interesting me just the same way, which is the 50mm f2. kind of in a similar form factor from 7 Artisans, or actually, I'm sorry, TT Artisan, right? That's the brand of this one, the TT Artisan. So this is the TT Artisan 25 millimeter f2, and I've been liking the results that I'm getting off of this one. So this one runs about $70, and I got it for $50 on a Black Friday deal. So I snagged that one up. Now, let me see if there's any other questions or anything like that in the chat. Oh, so Raphael corrected me. Cyber cut. See, that sounds much better. So yes. And Mr. Duncan just put this in the chat. We have William in the house saying hello. How are you? Saying hi to everyone as well. John says, that's cool, a course update. I have it and we'll revisit. You see the updates? See, that's awesome. Says, happy late turkey day, says Mulain William. All right. He says he's got to go, but he just came in to say hi. Says, see me later, probably on the replay. All right. So we'll march on. So, foreshadowing, this is the next Pancake lens. As you can see, they're getting smaller and smaller as far as distance from the sensor or the camera body itself. So this has a, this is a simple lens. Now this one, I believe, is going for like $350 still, because it's a Sony branded lens and it's not new. But this is an APS-C lens, so it's not designed for full frame. But as you can see, super small, and it's still at an f2.8. So f2.8 will actually, it's a pretty fast lens, which is what I like about this. This is one of my favorite lenses for, once again, like I had mentioned before, my NEX6 camera, because this is just such an extremely small form factor. So I bring this out now to emphasize on that, because the lenses are gonna really get like tiny very soon. As you can see, even mounted on the camera body, it's got a very low profile. It just sits basically flat, kind of won't tip over, and it's just like an ideal setup for such a small little camera. So this is the 20 millimeter, but if you can see, it doesn't have an aperture ring whatsoever, because the aperture ring or the aperture control is controlled within the camera electronically. It does have a focus ring, but it's not a like direct connection to the elements inside of the lens. It is a focus by wire. So depending on how fast or how soft you actually move the focus ring will determine how fast or soft you will actually get the elements to move. So you're not going to get consistency through your focus pulls, which is what's not recommended, which is why a lot of manual lenses tend to be better in filmmaking if you have a crew, so on and so forth. But if you're a content creator and you want a wide angle lens that is also autofocus, this is an amazing little piece of kit. That's why I also enjoy it in this same factor, where I just have it set there, and this is a very pocketable setup, and each setup is going to continue to get even more pocketable, because I love the photos that I get from this lens, but it's an f2.8 and it gives me very good and sharp photos, which is actually not the trend right now, right? The trend of things that are going on right now are kind of these pocket cameras, or these mimicking vintage old style cameras. I'm gonna get something to drink. So they're trying to, like, what's gaining popularity right now is disposable cameras, and the style of photography that you would get from one of these old school disposable, like Kodak film. Man, I remember you used to get them for like $12 at Eckerd Drugs. That entire sentence would not be understood by any of these ex-zennials or whatever, but we march on. This is the next lens. it almost looks like a body cap itself. Now, it is such a simple lens because it is exactly a replacement of the same point and shoots that I'm talking about, the disposable cameras. They took one of the lenses from the disposable cameras and they put it onto a, like, basically a cap. Look, had it upside down and didn't even notice. So this is an E-mount, focus free. It's a 32 millimeter, and the same thing, it's f10. See? Let me see if I can get it to focus there. So that f10 is just like the first lens that I had mentioned here, which is the constant f8. This one's an f10, and this is exactly the type of images that you would get from a disposable camera. And as you can see, there is absolutely nothing to this lens. It is basically a body cap with this lens attached to it, simple pinhole, and that's all there is to it as well. No electronics. As you can see, the profile got even smaller on it. And this is also a lot of fun because it does give you that nostalgic feel when it comes to the images that you get with this camera. It's super easy, right? Pretty much set this to auto, right? Go right here, set it to auto, and let it do everything else. And it's just simple, like point and shoot, the same way that you would use a disposable camera. But I got my 3D printer, and because this is exactly how it came with nothing else, I went and I 3D printed a back cap and a lens cap for it. So with that being said, putting it all together, I got my nice little lens cap and my body cap for it. And that is my disposable, right? Or yeah, my disposable camera lens, a 32 millimeter f10. Now, I forgot the price of this one as well, but let me see if I can get it here. I actually have all these links and I'm gonna put them in the chat. This one's actually very inexpensive, as you can see. It's not a lot to it. It was $25, or that's what you can get it, $25.99 right now, the 32 millimeter f10 for the Sony E-mount. Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. Back here. And you're like, wow, that's pretty thin, right? Like, you wouldn't expect things to get even smaller, but I did find something which impressed me, which is the next lens which I'm talking about. As you can see, also didn't come with a lens cap, so I made another one, 3D printed myself. But this is the 7 Artisans UFO lens. And UFO is because, man, this thing is even thinner than the 3D printed or the disposable one. It is like the same size as the back cap. And take a look at how thin this guy is. It just has a focus ring. The same thing, fixed XF 6.3. I'm seeing the numbers right here, and yet they're getting mixed up in my mouth. Okay, so it's a fixed f6.3. So like the other lenses, right? To save on mechanics and everything that you would need for an aperture ring, they just set one up, and this is what their setup. So similar to the like Asti Hori, which is the 18F and I forgot. It's the F8. Yep. 18F8. This is an 18F6.3. So a little bit faster, right? So it allows a little bit more light. And once again, you have the manual focus ring. But this one's also a lot of fun because this one takes the element of like that I'm saying 3D printed, but it's not that, the disposable lens, right? This one, the $25 one. And like I said, look at how thin the profile is. And you still have the ability to focus to get nice sharp images. So this one falls into like a really cool category of like, you know, point and shoot, but almost for like street photography, right? Like you could use this pretty much anywhere. As you can see, the profile is super thin. If I were to even take the, you know, this hood off of it, look at how thin this is. Like I can't emphasize how easy this is to carry, right? And to have like this UFO fixed lens from 7 Artisans, actually pretty cool. Now this one ran me like $60 or $70 for the lens. But like I said, I've been into this for a little minute, but this one also was on sale and I got it through Black Friday. So this one and the TT Artisans, these 2 lenses I got on Black Friday deals, and I was just like too good to pass up. So that is like super thin. But now there's just one more thing, which is kind of like a mulligan. It's not an actual lens, but it is thinner than this, which is actually kind of one of my favorite pickups as of late, which is this newer Nikon to Sony adapter. So you can see I have the Sony body cap, and this is just an adapter that allows me to put any Sony lens onto my Nikon camera. So the camera that we're using right now is the Nikon camera that I usually have this set up to, but instead of having to rebuy the entire arsenal of Sony lenses when I wanted, or when I got my hands on this camera, I now have the ability to basically convert my Nikon cameras to Sony lens mount and just basically use all of my Sony lenses, which I have quite a few, as you can see. And all of these work on it, whether it's autofocus or manual focus, Pancake or not. No matter what lens that I have for the Sony E mount, I'm able to put it onto this adapter and use it with my Nikon ZFC, which you're seeing right now, and my Nikon Z30, which is, I could just bring that down. Let's see. Squeeze that down here. See my little Nikon Z30 setup, and I'm able to just that is such a game changer. So now instead of Nikon, I hope that's dust. I hope that's dust on my sensor. And it is. Whoo! I thought I just like was speaking and a little bit of spit hit the sensor, and then that would have not been a good thing. So let's throw something on there right away. Like this, right? So my Sigma 30mm, I'm able to just grab it. And that's how simple it is. And like I said, I have plenty, and I mean plenty, of Sony lenses. So this, being able to like totally adapt all of that onto these cameras, has to be my best, thinnest lens that I have. It's multiple lenses in one adapter. So it's a bit of a cheat, but it is my set of Pancake lenses. So let me know what you guys thought, and I'm gonna go ahead and check to see if there's any more questions. All right. Oh, Rafi sent me a super chat. Thank you so very much. Says happy Thanksgiving. Likewise. So you, even though you celebrated a month ago, right? from Canada, the Canadian land. And he's also saying thanks to John. But yes, let me know what you guys think of these lenses. If you would grab one, which one interests you the most, or like piques your curiosity, and let me know in chat. So now I'm just gonna go back. Let's see. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the next step. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this now. I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna take the links. I'm just gonna drop them in chat. Those are all the lenses and adapters in order, the way that I had spoke about them in chat. So I'm probably gonna add that to the description just the same way. But I had to switch things up because to show you these things, I had to switch everything up. So today I'm actually using, go behind the scenes, my Sony A7C Mark II with the 24 to 50 G Master f2.8 on the entire setup. And man, I think it looks really good. Man, I thought that was just me, but it got a little warm, and I'm like, I thought, but no, yeah, I'm sweating pretty good. So yeah, so I put that in chat. Yeah, and as you can see, I had to set up and rig up a couple of other things over here because I had to set up the Ulanzi fan just in case it overheats, because this little package tends to overheat a bit. So yeah, now that we have that there, yeah, we're gonna go to the next stop, the next step, which is housekeeping. Go ahead, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to get your Doc Pops, docrock.live/merch, and that way you'd be able to get yourself a nice set of that of pop filters if you haven't done so already. Here's another thing that I did, which is I'm fixing up my setup over here. I wanted it to show better, but we'll see if once I get my new colors, that'll change, because I just placed my order Black Friday weekend sales for the remaining colors that I was missing of the Doc Rock Pops, which is why I'm mentioning it. So I got a little busy and I started printing out 3D versions of the SM7B, and I got them magnetized to my door. So let me go ahead and show you. So this is thanks to Caleb Pike, who actually made the file to be able to utilize like the SM58 and the X something 8500 from Sennheiser, I believe, and to be able to just mock them up like the SM7B. So if you have one of these, also know that the pop filters work for you just the same way. But I then made these mic stands, put them onto the sides, and magnetized the back end of this so that I have a set of, you know, like mock microphones, because spending $400 on each microphone to display a pop filter is not in the budget right now. But with my 3D printing skills and availability, I was able to do that, and now I have 3 set up right now, but the colors that I have are not the brightest. So even though I have them back there, they end up looking all dark. My OCD had to get them level. All right, so that is a potential new wall of Doc Pops. I'm going to print 3 more of them so that we have like all the colors available on there, so that will be the Doc Pop wall, so to speak. And whenever I want to change it, I have my pop filters there and give it a place for it, because they were kind of taking over. And I ordered more. So if you haven't done so already, haven't done it yourself, make sure you get your Doc Pops. And if you're also wondering how is it that I do all of this amazing things, I do it with the power of Ecamm. This is the program that I use to bring the comments on, to switch the scenes, to go live in 4K, to do everything that you're seeing here, and record podcast internally while broadcasting, do it privately. Anything that your heart desire when it comes to content creation, Ecamm should be your first stop. Check it out for all Apple or Mac users, and hit the QR code to get linked up and become part of the Ecamm fam. All right. Even though I said that all correctly, I have to tell you, the music didn't match the mood. So I'm going to skip it. and Mr. Duncan putting the link there as well. All right. And now we're going to go to Cities Go. And this is the part where I say channels that I think you should go and watch. All right. Boom. And this is who we have today. Doc says it just came in time for the promo. Nice. There you go. All right. So this is Mr. Quinn Nelson from Snazzy Labs. So if you haven't been aware of, you've never seen the channel before, let me be the first to introduce you to this amazing content creator from the channel Snazzy Labs. Now, the reason why I bring him up is because he's also, you know, like I would say he's a camera junkie, you know, on the hush hush, but he's a tech junkie. So he's got a tech channel. And one of the things that he recently did is this video that went around all of kind of our inner circles. Doc had mentioned it as well, and so did Alicia, about the underdesk like system for cable management, because that's one of the biggest things when you start looking at the way that we have all of these camera setups and all these cables running everywhere. Cable management is very, very important. But because of it, and because of today's subject at hand, I just said today we're going to be highlighting Mr. Quinn Nelson from Snazzy Labs. As you can see, he does pretty much everything from computers, which, you know, the new Mac minis that we had mentioned before, everything like that. He does teardowns, he does reviews, he does, you know, analysis, and he's a very knowledgeable individual. So if you haven't heard of this channel before, let me be the first one to introduce you to Mr. Quinn Nelson from Snazzy Labs YouTube channel. This week's Cities Go, channels that I think you should go and watch. And that's it, man. We've done it. We've completed episode 209. And it seems like when I tend to organize my things and have, you know, like links and everything, and I actually have time to set everything up, everything tends to run very, very smooth, and we end up, you know, like making up some time. So we're off to be a little bit early. I'm gonna check the chat, but that is it for this week's episode. We did it. Episode 209 is in the books. Paul says you get a 40% discount on your first year of Pro. Oh, and this is, yes, this is for Ecamm right now for the Cyber Monday. They haven't been promoting it much, but if you, as soon as you click the link and you go to the website, you'll see the sales that are available. Doug says I love Snazzy Labs. Yeah, yes he is. All right, and that's the YouTube channel there. But we did it, everyone. This has been another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. I want to thank you all for taking the time. I hope that you all had an amazing, you know, Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, if you were celebrating it. I was able to spend some time with my father. My family is not as big as it used to be. And another thing is that my father was also recovering, or is still recovering, from a surgery that just happened the week before. So I'm glad that I was able to spend some time with him, hang out. Same thing, I'm gonna go visit him tomorrow to make sure that he's good. But you know, thank God that everything went well with his surgery, and now we're just in the recovery phase. So I hope you all had an amazing holiday. I wish you all the best, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces right here when we do it all over again, same time, same place, on the Mr. Camera Junkie YouTube channel. So everyone, thank you for making this my favorite thing to do every single week, week in and week out, and that's why I don't see an end in sight. This is episode 209, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces for episode 208 next week. So take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Talk to you.